Hi guys, Amy here with your cozy swag this month. So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about why we did an acrylic video this month, or an acrylic swag. You know, usually we do gel polish or topical art, but our acrylic, colored acrylic, it plays well with dipping, sugaring, in these acrylic molds. So we decided to go with the acrylic this month, so you could try it. And if you're somebody that doesn't do acrylic in the salon, then you can still use this with your gels. And we're going to go over all the different techniques on how to use it with gels, how to use it with dipping, and of course how to use it for regular acrylic. So in your swag this month, we've got you're going to have 3 of the 6 cozy colors. And you're going to have an acrylic liquid, which looks like this. So this is just had to be packed this way for us to be able to ship it through UPS. So just so you know, obviously all of the inside of the bag, just discard it. And the sample itself is a 1 ounce sample in a 2 ounce jar. So don't think it leaked out or anything. And hopefully we didn't have any leakers this month. Keeping my fingers crossed. So this is your acrylic liquid. And we've got our 3D mold, which is a silicone mold. And we do a lot of 3D art in the salon, but sometimes you just don't have time to do, you know, 3D flowers and built up things in your hour time slot. So this just makes it a lot faster and a lot more consistent. So easy. So we're going to use this guy today. And then your brush. So we got shorted on brushes, so I'm not going to be working with the new brush today, which I'm kind of bummed about. But instead, I've got our number 6 and our acrylic art brush. So that's what I'm going to be working with. But this new double brush is a 4 and an 8. So it's really great because you can use it for your regular acrylic application, or you can use the other side of it for your 3D art and for little, you know, filling up your molds and stuff like that. So these are 100% Kolinsky. So if you are not doing acrylic in the salon, you can also use that brush for gel, or it would make a great cleanup brush too, because it's got a really nice point to it. So to get started, I've got all of our colors, and I'm going to start pretty simple, and we're just going to start with like your quick, easy colored acrylic ombres. So let me grab a couple tips. And just for basics, when you're working with colored acrylic, if you're putting it straight on the nail bed, it will discolor a little bit. It will discolor the nail bed a little bit, and it's really hard to get off. So make sure you're always starting with some type of a base pink or clear. I typically like to grab for like our profiles pink, just to leave a little bit of protection on the natural nail. And remember also, your colored acrylics are full of pigments, so they're not really meant to adhere like your base, you know, like your pink, white, and clear. So always start with that clear or pink base. You'll have better adhesion, no lifting, and it'll be so much easier when your client comes back in and she wants a refill and she wants different colors. And of course, I would have started with my pink on there, but we're just going to go right into our color. And when you're doing an ombre with the color, you want to work a little bit drier. So we're just going to place our color on, kind of let it do its thing. You can see how creamy these colors are, so easy to work with. If you find that it's sticking to your brush, it's just too wet. So let it do its thing for a minute and then start moving it around. So I'm just pulling it down the tip. And the thing with a nice, clean, even ombre is starting with a really clean slate. So make sure when you put your first color on, it's nice and even and you don't have any like heavy dips or really high spots, just nice and smooth. So I would do, if I was doing a couple of these nails, I would do all the pinks first and then go back and do my second color after, because like I said, with the ombre, you want to work dry. If you go and put a wet ball on top of this and try to blend it real well, you're going to end up with some lines. So we're going to let that dry. All right, so now we're going to take our second color And we're gonna place it right below where I want to ombre it. And I'm just kind of floating it down the tip. I mean, typically in the salon, we're not doing nails this long all the time, so you wouldn't probably need all that product. And now I'm just going to use the belly of the brush, and I'm just pressing. And as I'm pressing, I'm kind of pushing up a little bit so that I get a nice, clean, easy fade. And I love working with colored acrylics for this because the texture in the colored acrylics just make it so easy to ombre. And then of course you're going to want to cap this in clear. So my colors are so totally different. We've got dark to light. So I think I'm going to take a little bit more pink and just kind of pull it over just to give it a little bit more of a graduation. But again, I'm going to wait for this to be completely dry. Or not completely dry, but you want to make sure that shine is gone. So once that shine starts to disappear, you can go in with your next coat. There we go. That way we got a little bit better of a blend of color. And sometimes when you're working with total opposite colors, you might want to do maybe 3 colors, mix the 2 together, just like you would with gel polish. So now I would cap this with clear so that when we do our finish filing, we don't file into our ombre. So quick, easy. All right, next, we're gonna do something with a little bit of marbling. We'll do something simple like this one. And working around a cuticle area doing marble can get a little bit tough. So what I always do in the salon is I will start with a little bit of one of the colors, and I will just kind of paint my cuticle area on like this. That way, because when you're marbling, you're working really, really wet, and you don't want it to get up and flood into the cuticle area. So we're just gonna start with that. And depending on the size of the nail, you could use either size brush for this. I'm just gonna stick with the 8 that I've got here. And now is when you want to work really fast and really wet. So we're just going to kind of paint that on. And then we're going to go in with another color, kind of string it through. Grab another color, string that through. Another one. So before it dries too much, you can go back through with your brush. You've got plenty of time. Clean up your edges. But we kept it really thin. So when you're doing this also, make sure that the nail is angled down so that gravity is going to kind of work with you, and it's going to run down the nail rather than back into the cuticle area. And back here, I feel like I could use a little bit more color. We're going to go in with the pink, kind of just touch it up back there and string a little bit more color back there. Let it self-level out. And again, we're just going to top coat this with some clear acrylic. That way you're protecting that marble from any finish filing. And you really want to make sure it's pretty dry once you're putting your top coat on so that you don't pull. I keep saying top coat, you guys, I mean clear acrylic. And when you do that, just grab a lot of clear. I like to work with the clear really wet and just kind of float it down the nail. And I feel like the clear also fogs it up a little bit, kind of mattifies. So if there is any imperfections in this ombre that we did, I feel like the clear helps to kind of camouflage that and make the ombre look a little bit smoother. But again, I like to work with that clear pretty wet so it stays crystal clear and just goes on easy. Again, just grabbing a lot of clear. And if you're using it really wet like this, you're less likely to get bubbles. Perfect. Beautiful. These colors are so pretty. Okay, so let's say we are moving into doing this with some gel. Let's say we're working with gel polish or clear gel or builder gel. This is going to work with any gel that you're going to use. So I'm just grabbing BB gel, which is a builder base. So you can kind of use it a little bit thicker. And I like the consistency of it. It's not going to run from me too much. So there's a couple ways that you can use your colored acrylic, sugaring or dipping or however you want to say it. Basically, these colors are pretty pigmented, so you're going to get really good coverage either way. You can put a gel polish on, cure it, and use the sticky layer and just kind of drizzle or sugar your colored acrylics right into that sticky layer. Or you can do it while the gel is still wet before you cure. So you're going to grab a lot more colored acrylic if you're doing it this way. You're going to grab a lot less if you're just putting it into a sticky layer. So it just depends on how much color you want to see. It's a preference thing. So we're going to grab this one here. And we just poured it right into the wet gel. So you can see it's starting to absorb it. And then we're going to take the darker color. Oh, let's not mix those or we'll come up with a nice new color. And we're going to do this up top here so that we're going to get a slight ombre. And when you're happy, we're going to just go ahead and put this in the light and we're going to cure it. So when this comes out, it's going to look a little textured because of the powder, and it's going to be cured right into your gel polish. So whatever gel polish you're using, or any gel, hard gel, soft gel, if it has a sticky layer, this is going to be slightly sticky, slightly tacky too. So you're going to want to, if you just wanted this basic ombre with these colors, you could just put top coat over this and call it a day. But it's amazing how pigmented these are because we just poured this into clear gel. So it's a great way to use it if you're not using acrylic liquid in the salon, right? Still get use out of these really pretty colors. So if we take top coat now, and we'll use this as a base for some of our 3D work that we're going to do on top. Once you put that top coat on, it really smooths out the surface and it gives you just a really pretty color and a quick, easy ombre. Powders are so easy to ombre with. They blend a lot easier than you're, trying to do it with gel polish. So while that's curing, we'll get these finished up so that we can do some 3D textures on top. Okay, so let's talk about textures and working with colored acrylics doing your 3D work. And we'll start quick and easy with our mold. So your base can be shiny or it can be matte. Either way, again, it's totally preference. When you're working with building 3D flowers on top of the nail, it's easier to work on a slick surface because it's going to allow you to move the acrylic a little bit better and kind of stretch it out on the whole entire surface and really pull those petals out. If you're working on a matte surface, it grabs a little bit faster, so you have a lot less time. So if you're new with painting flowers on top, try it on a slick surface first. I think that you'll find it's a lot easier. And if you're doing it with the mold, it's not going to matter either way. It's preference. So I love the look of the matte colored acrylic on the matte nail. So I'm going to just put matte top coat on these. And then we'll keep this one shiny and do our building with that one. And these are just, you can see the detail in this marble. It's just so pretty. I love it. And great colors for right now too. So when you're working with your mold, you're going to want to use your smaller brush. So load up your brush real good with your liquid. And then go in and grab your powder. Let's move that in. Just grab a little bit. Choose where you want to go with it. And basically you're just painting it right into the flower that you want. This one's a little bit bigger, so we're going to go in, grab a little bit more. And you can absolutely have these pre-done. You know, if you've got time in the salon in between people, or maybe you had somebody cancel last minute, you can pre-make these. The only thing is, now when this dries, if you wait till it's completely dry to take it out, if you're like pre-making them, you're gonna have very flat flowers. They're gonna be too flat. You want them to kind of dry with a curve. So we're gonna take it out. Even if you're pre-making these, we're gonna take this out before it completely cures. And that way we can bend it a little bit so that it lays flush with the nail. So I am just taking the very tip of the brush and making sure if there's anything over the edges. I'm just, I guess, just basically cleaning it up. So this is going to take about a minute. And actually, while that's drying, we can go in and just put a couple different flowers. This one's pretty. And you want to work with it pretty wet, because if it's too dry, sometimes you don't realize it, but there's a bubble on the inside of it. So when you peel your flower out or your design, there is like a little void of product. So wetter is better. But yeah, these are so easy to use. And again, I don't always have time in the salon to build up 3D flowers. And because you're trying to rush, I feel like they're not as consistent as I want. So what we're going to do is adhere this with a little bit of acrylic. So what I do is I just kind of go in, and you can see like I'm stretching this and the acrylic is still really moving a lot. Yeah, this one's starting to dry. You can see it's starting to pull away. That's when you know it's almost ready. When they're real wet, they just stretch with the mold. So those ones aren't ready, but this guy is almost ready. So you can take a pair of tweezers to get it out. You can work it out with the point on your brush, whatever works for you. but this one is pretty much ready. Let me get in the light or the camera so you guys can see. And actually, the more you use these, the easier they come out. This one was brand new, so I probably should have put a little bit of, kind of prepped it with a little bit of powder, but that's okay. We're gonna work this guy right out of here. And he's still really wobbly, so they're definitely easier to get out as they are drier. There we go, kind of will pop out. So here's our flower. Then we're gonna take just a little bit of the color or clear, doesn't really matter. You just wanna kind of wet the surface of where it's gonna go. So you can see how it pulls away from the nail, but now you just want to give it a little bit of a curve. So we are just kind of pressing it down so it dries right on the nail. And it's gonna curve down and almost just blend right in. So let's say you weren't putting this right on a nail. You were pre-making these. See how pretty that is? And see how flat it gets on, it goes right to the nail. And that way it's sealed all the way around. But like I said, if you're pre-making these, what I would do is take a tip, or you could use a form and kind of bend the form, but I would take the flower out. You guys can see I'm like really bending this to get the flower out of there. And just slowly work it out. When they're this pliable still, they're easy to rip. So just slowly work it out so that you don't rip a petal off. And this is just one of those Arabella forms. But like I said, you can absolutely use a piece of foam paper or a form itself. And then I would just leave them attached right to this until your client comes in and she's ready. This will pop right off of this and ready to use. So it'll save you some time. You could even just put them in a little jar and save them for a rainy day. This is just a little leaf. And we're gonna put that guy right up against this flower. So we're gonna take a little bit more acrylic and we're gonna go right in here with it. You don't need a lot. And just push it right up in there. Kind of went underneath it, which is perfect. And now we're just gonna hold it down. So if you feel, I mean, we have a really good, this bonded really well, but if you feel that a little piece of it popped up, maybe like a little bit right in here, you can always take the color, kind of let it soak up underneath there, or if you're afraid the color's not going to match really well, what you can do is just use clear. And then just really clean it up so that it's not going to mess with your top coat. Super cute and super easy. And you can see like right in the center here, that was a little bubble from the acrylic. So again, using it a little bit wetter, and maybe the really deep areas like the center of that flower, really kind of mash your acrylic in, and just when you're applying it into your form, just press a little bit more, because you can see in this flower, it's so like the center of it is so deep. So, but it's actually, it looks cute. Looks like I did it on purpose. So now if we wanted to build our 3D flowers, so a little bit more advanced and a little bit time consuming. So unless you have the time in the salon, and you definitely should be charging extra if you're doing 3D work on top, But what I like to do is just grab the smaller brush, this is number 4. Get a nice dollop, and I'll just kind of press it out, kind of like the shape of a banana. Oh, that's a fat banana, but and now this is all about timing. If you go too soon, it's just going to kind of melt back together. If you wait too long, it's going to be too dry. So just kind of play with it, and when you are pressing your flower out, if it's staying put, then it's definitely time to start working on it. But if it's melting back together, just step away from it for a second and give it a couple more seconds to set up. So I'm really stretching this out, and the angle that I'm at is like this. So you don't want to work flat. When you work flat, you're going to not have this tapered edge and this nice heavier edge here. If you're working flat, it's going to be heavy on both sides. You don't want that. You want it to look like it's coming out of the nail. Also, there's 2 sides to your brush. You've got your flat side, which is going to give you a nice even flat petal. Or if you go up on the side, instead of this way, you go this way, you're going to get more ridges in your petal. It's going to give you a little bit more variation. So depending on what flower it is that you're trying to create, just really stretch those petals out. So again, we're going to go right inside. It's like 1 step in, kind of curl those sides up, or curl out, I should say. And again, angle of the brush, you're pressing the tip down and doing this to really stretch out that flower. And as I get closer into the center, I'm picking up a little bit less acrylic, and I feel like the angle changes slightly. So a little bit smaller ball of acrylic. I'm going to dry it out just a little bit. I'm going to put it right here. And now I'm creating my banana. And don't put it too close, because if you put it too close to the other petals, it doesn't give you the room that you need to stretch it out. It's never going to end up where you placed it. So for this last one, we're really kind of letting it dry out. And off-centered, I'm not going to go directly in the middle of it, but off to one side, I'm just kind of hollowing it out. So this is one of many styles of flowers that you can do 3D work. There's so many different ways to do them. This to me is a quicker, easier flower. And I love that it doesn't have to look exactly the same on every nail, or if you're only doing it on a couple. So this is kind of the center. And then we'll just put a little tiny dot right in the center. Make sure you dry that out so that it doesn't flood the entire center of the flower. And then if you want to make a leaf, we're just going to grab a little bit. We could go right up in here. Now again, be careful. You don't want to go too close with it so that it floods in here and you lose dimension. So I just want it to look like it's kind of coming out from underneath these leaves or these petals. And remember I said there's two sides to the brush, so we're going to go up on this side and kind of pull this to a point. So there's our 3D flower. And now if you want to work with your acrylics and do like sweater nails are so hot right now. So let's say we're gonna start, I'm gonna use a smaller tip. And this is Bossy from Luxio, one of my favorite colors. Actually, I'm wearing it right now. And it matches well to this collection. So we're gonna grab, this is blush, and we're just pouring this right into the tacky layer. And it gives it a really pretty matte. So you could work right on top of this, but I am gonna put a matte top coat down. And the reason I put the color over the gel polish instead of just keeping the gel polish, I want the color to match perfectly. So grab a color that is similar to it, so you can use that as a base, then pour your colored acrylic on top of it, so it gives it the same hue. So a couple different ways that you can do the next part. We can take our gel polish that we just used, dab some of that on a palette, and paint our sweater design. Then before you cure, grab your powder and then cure it. So now we're just using our powders to sugar. And like I said, they're pigmented enough so that they're gonna cover really well. And if you want it a little bit deeper, you can always put a gel polish behind it that is similar in color, just to give it a little bit of a deeper color. So now, once you've cured it in, just dust it off really well. And because we cured the powder into the gel, it does not need a top coat. So we're gonna try this again, and I'm gonna show you another way that we can use your colored acrylics to sugar or to make your sweater nails. Same thing, we're gonna start with our base color, or clear with the colored acrylic sprinkled into it, doesn't matter. You guys have seen me do a couple different techniques with how we're getting this colored acrylic on the nail bed, and we did it with a tacky layer. This time we'll do it right into the wet gel polish. So let's say you don't have a base color similar. You can always just take clear gel. I'm using Outshine. You can use any thicker bodied, no wipe top. So you guys are gonna see the difference. This one we're gonna put shine on instead of matte. So now you've got your shiny coat, and what we're gonna do is take a little bit of our powder, and we're just gonna mix it right in with the gel. Doing it this way is nice because you can get a thicker consistency. Sometimes painting with gel polish, your lines spread out, fatten a little bit, and you can't get the detail that you want. But doing it with the powder in the, oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing, can you? There we go. So doing it by putting powder right in your clear gel, it allows you to get the consistency that you want. So it gives you a little bit more time when you're doing the painting. And you can get thinner lines. You can get a little bit more detailed. And again, you can do this on matte or shine. I just chose shine this time so we could see the difference. And also doing it this way, we can kind of flash cure in between. And because we mixed this with top coat, it doesn't need anything. It's not sticky, it's nice and shiny. Completely different look when you sugar and when you paint with it with top coat. Both very cool. Just depends on what you're looking for, what design you're looking for. So I really hope this showed you guys the versatility with the acrylics. And I know, like I said, I know some of you are gel users only, and you can use these powders with your gels. You can paint with them, you can sugar with them, and you can always pre-make these cute little these cute little flowers and put them on top of your gel polish. So there's just a lot you can do with it. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. If you have any questions about our acrylic system, please reach out and make sure you tag us in all your fabulous videos and posts that you put on IG, profiles_nails. And we will see you next month. Happy nailing!